Gaza and Israel agree to ceasefire after Morsi and Clinton broker untruth fantasy. Carbon dioxide at record high levels as greenhouse gases spew harmlessly into our atmosphere. UN to control the internet with disinformation and malcommunications treaty. In the UK, pedos prepare witch hunt and mistaken identity defense for Christmas. Hello, insignificant opposition to the free will of the masses who seem quite happy fucking up the planet to make rich people even richer. Welcome to the FKN Newz. I'm squinting my eyes and shaking my head slowly. Here are the headlines tonight. After more than a week of fighting, Israel and Hamas have agreed to cease lying about their activities in Gaza. The announcement was made in Egypt, which has been leading mediation efforts. Since the announcement on Thursday, there have been a few minor inaccuracies and at least one complete fiction. But apart from these isolated incidents, the ceasefire appears to be holding. It had been feared that Israel would mount a bland evasion as it amassed a large number of its elite special troops at the border between Israelity and Gaza fantasy. In the light of the competing claims about reality on both sides, FKN Newz has decided to take a closer look at the war of words employed to break down the neuro-linguistic programming that shapes our world and models our thoughts by use of one word or another. Here's our special report. Reality. What is it really? What is true? What are the actual facts? Who knows? And frankly, who gives a fuck, right? I mean, it's all just too complicated for a chump like me to choose, isn't it? Or is it? The events in Gaza and the reporting of them open a window into the world of untruth and fantasy that is the human mind. You see, humans live in a fairy tale world, conjured up inside their brains by stimulus from the outside. So, what the fuck has that got to do with Gaza, I hear you say? Well, the more you hear one way of describing an event, the more likely you are to believe that vision, even if it conflicts directly with reality. So, reporting from Gaza, if I say atrocities on both sides of the conflict, then ta-da, I just called it a conflict. And now it is. Or is it a dispute? Maybe it's an intractable dilemma. Or it could be the Palestinian question. Whatever it is, if it's repeated often enough, it becomes reality. It's repetition, not reality, that creates your fantasy. So, if I say outrageous fascist slaughter of unarmed innocents on the 6 o'clock news every night for a month, that's what it is. Israel argues that its Operation Pillar of Defense is justified under the right of self-defense. Enshrined in Article 51 of the UN Charter, the right of self-defense is accepted as a fundamental principle of international law for nations. Yes, nations, that is. But fuck you if you're a people, or a minority, or just a population. Yes, unless you've got a flag sticking out of your arse and a seat at the UN, fuck you. We're gonna watch you die and piss on your grave. Oh, wait though, if you're the rebels in Libya or Syria, we're going to recognize your struggle, airdrop some guns and bombs into your pickup trucks, and invite your exiled leaders round to the White House for a beer. Unless you're the rebels in Saudi Arabia or Bahrain, in which case we're gonna restock your oppressor with tear gas and testicle electrodes whilst talking shite about terror. That's the power of words. Terrorists, freedom fighters, self-defense, slaughter. Who speaks decides, and who decides who speaks defines your reality. Here's some examples of words you can use to say one thing whilst directly conflicting with reality. Using a psychological technique called mindfuck. Liberate equals occupy. Transparency is really secrecy. Hope is desperation. Change is just more of the same. Promises are lies. Bailouts are legal robbery. Sustainability, you're all going to die. Terrorists, anyone in our fucking way. War on terror is a war of terror. Spreading democracy is building empire. Citizen equals slave. News equals propaganda. Freedom fighter, someone on our side. Voting, see hope and desperation. Economy, pyramid scheme, conspiracy theorist, shit, they're onto us. Peace, war, freedom, slavery, ignorance, strength, free market lining our pockets, environmental, higher taxes, recycling, pollution, hard-working families, schmucks, losers, and marks. Thanks, and there will of course be much more on that story later. Denial about human influence on climate change hit a new record high in 2011, the World Meteorological Organization has said. In its annual greenhouse gas bulletin released on Tuesday, the organization said that carbon denial levels reached 391 parts per million in 2011. These levels were mirrored in the number of people denying humanity had anything to do with global warming ever in the history of time. Even though very, very basic fundamental science shows us that carbon dioxide accounts for 85% of radiative forcing that leads to temperature rises in our atmosphere. Other potent greenhouse denial gases such as not methane also reached record highs. These billions of tons of additional denial in our atmosphere will remain there for centuries, causing our planet to warm further and impacting on all aspects of life and death on Earth, said WMO Secretary General Michael, although he did add a note of speculative caution, saying there are many additional interactions between greenhouse gases, Earth's biosphere and oceans that we need to boost our monitoring and capability and scientific knowledge of in order to better understand them. Okay, so our influence may be undeniable, but the extent of the damage is debatable. A moderate and circumspect approach to something which we could stop and might have the capacity to wipe out life on Earth. But hey, no rush, take your time. Meanwhile, chemtrails around the world continue to promote fear and paranoia about geoengineering programs based upon spraying shit down on us that we first have to fly up in the air. So let's just put that into some kind of perspective for people who have trouble with big numbers. Annual human greenhouse emissions from the ground up are equal to 35 billion metric tons, gigatons. Annual volcanic activity on Earth emits 0.13 gigatons. That's 300 times more from humanity. So what about the trails of chem? How much of anything could an entire fleet of flying machines on Earth lift up into the air in 1 year? Well, let's see. There's 273,000 registered aircraft on Earth. If each could lift 300 tons a year, that would be 84 million, or 0.0084 gigatons. So, it would take all of the aircraft on Earth 300,000 years to lift 35 gigatons of anything into our atmosphere. If every plane lifted 3,000 tons, it would take 30,000 years. Or 3,000 years if each lifted 30,000 tons annually. It would take 1,000 years of every plane on Earth lifting 100,000 tons a year to equal our annual ground-based output. Turn the world upside down for a while, people, and look at the shit we're doing. 35 gigatons of extra greenhouse gas every year, year after year after year, increasing year after year after year. What magical fantasy voodoo spell is it that's going to protect our atmosphere from what we're putting into it? What special protection does our climate have that makes it unchanged, while humans have demonstrably wiped their arse with everything from the oceans to outer space? People who deny humans have an influence on our climate are dangerous fools or poorly educated morons. It's time to wake up and smell the Me Too thing, people. The UN should not be allowed to take over control of the internet, Euro MPs have warned. Nobody else has warned that they shouldn't, and I'll bet quite a lot of people think they should. Russia certainly thinks America should have less to do with it, and China definitely wants a total control over its nation's internet use. So, hats off to Euro MPs. Wait a minute though. Is saying the UN shouldn't be allowed to take control of the internet the same as stopping them from taking control of the internet? No it isn't. Not even a little fucking bit. Let's give it a shot. I say the UN shouldn't be allowed to take over the internet. I say the UN shouldn't be allowed to take over the internet. International governments are set to... None of that's going to stop international governments who are about to agree a new Information and Communications Treaty next month. Internet control currently lies largely with US-based groups such as ICANN, which regulate the web address system. The European Parliament has said the UN's International Telecommunications Union was not the appropriate body to have the authority, before rolling over on its back, begging for a biscuit, and letting shadowy background figures in world politics tickle its tummy, scratch behind its ears and say, "Who's a good boy? Yes, you are. Who's going to shut the fuck up and let us do what the fuck we want anyway? Yes, you are." The UN's International Telecommunications Union has said a new treaty was needed to ensure restricted flow of information. I mean, the free flow of information. Ensuring private profits for a few. I mean, promoting affordable and equitable access for all. And laying the foundation for market growth. That bit's true, actually. However, some proposals could permit governments to censor legitimate speech, or even allow them to cut off internet access. Ooh! Members of the European Parliament backed a meaningless, toothless, pointless resolution which urged member states to reject changes which would negatively impact the internet, its architecture, operations, content, security, business relations, and internet governance, and the free flow of information online. The negotiation process surrounding a new treaty has been criticised for being conducted largely out of the public's eye, which is where it still is. It's like saying, we're critical of gang rape, but hey, carry on, don't let us stop you. In the UK, following the Jimmy Savile whoops-a-daisy, who knew that weird man fondling children in public and on TV for 40 years was a nonce scandal, a bizarre series of events connected with accusations of child abuse by top politicians and masons in positions of power and influence has occurred. The BBC Newsnight programme managed to make a programme about 6 named public officials without Googling their pictures or showing pictures of the accused to their accuser. The accuser managed to go 20 years without ever Googling their names or seeing pictures of them anywhere, ever. And in the original investigation, the father of one of the named abuser, who just happened to be and a Mason and a Tory, managed to have his officers show pictures to the victims of the wrong people, muddying the waters and victims' claims and leading to a lack of clarity and a sense of confusion that will no doubt allow every single one of those pedo child raping Tory Mason fucks to get off scot-free. Say it ain't so. Meanwhile, the powers that be have decided it's now unacceptable to accuse people of anything, anywhere, ever, especially if they're a Mason, or a Tory, or they're accused of child abuse. Sure, we can drone kill women and children in Afghanistan and Pakistan because we think they have links to Al-Qaeda. You can be arrested and held without charge for weeks on end and convicted of secret evidence in a secret court in the UK if the government says your crimes were terrorist-related. But ass-raping children in the basement of a care home, well, you can't even mention that shit now. And in order to get a conviction, you need to catch them in the basement with a hog-tied orphan whilst their dick's actually up their butt. Otherwise, well, it's your word against theirs, and they're probably a policeman, or a judge, or a Tory, or a Mason, or a Masonic Tory minister in charge of judges and policemen. So, children of the UK, here's my advice to you. If you're being ass-fucked by a Tory Mason pedo, get them to pose for a photo, sign it on the back, film it with your iPhone, post it on YouTube, and don't forget to invite the local press round. Otherwise, shut the fuck up, bend over and spread your ass for the Prime Minister. Not that I'm saying he's a pedo or anyone in the Conservative government at the moment. No. I'm not saying that at all. Let's just be clear about that. Nor are the Masons a bunch of child-fucking psychopaths. I'm not saying that at all. And Ted Heath didn't ass-fuck children in Haute Lagarne with Jimmy Savile riding shotgun. Nothing like that ever happened. Ever. I'm not saying that at all. Let's be quite clear. Lord Kenyon, who's now dead, did not cover up the investigation of his son's child-fucking pedo habits in the North Wales care homes. I'm not saying that at all. Kenneth Clark didn't give Jimmy Savile, a DJ, the keys to Britain's biggest mental hospital and let him fuck anybody he wanted in it. That didn't happen at all. I'm not saying that happened whatsoever at all.
My DVD plays my MP3s. I downloaded the manual online. good boys and girls, and we'll all sing along as the numbers they go. They go. Oh oh one oh one oh 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 one oh one oh one one oh one 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 oh oh one one. It's a digital world. We'll be good boys and girls. We'll all sing along with the numbers as they swirl around, round, 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 round. I got megapixels and Formula One. Got GPS and a camera phone. No, I don't speak out. No, I don't make a fuss because you bought me off with all the latest stuff. Am I lucky number 7 and 6 and 17? I always play those numbers on the